Hey everybody, welcome back to Moto Photo Adventures. I'm Jason, out here at the lake at Horizons Unlimited in Virginia near Appomattox for 2023, as you can tell by my newly acquired t-shirt. Today we're going to do a little bit of a different kind of review. It's not really a review per se, it's going to be more of a unboxing and taking it out and showing it to you, but the trick here is I'm going to be seeing this for the very first time just like you. So as we go through this, I'm going to be making observations that you would be making at the same time. So it's not going to be necessarily a technical review, it's more of a show and tell and the general idea of what I'm seeing and what we're getting. And what we're getting is a Summit Telos TR2 bike pack. This is from Moto Camp Nerd. If you haven't seen their shop, they are near Archdale in North Carolina, and they are large supporters of our channel, and we want to thank Mary and Ben for being one of our newest supporters of our channel. Now, what we've got here is a 2-pack bike pack tent. The interesting part about this, and I'm really a sucker for really good packaging. I mean, if you're an Apple fan, and if you're not, that's okay, I won't hold it against you, but if you are an Apple fan, you understand like packaging is kind of a big deal. And when you can incorporate multi-purpose use in the packaging, it really is a big bonus. So while you're looking at this just from the outside, we've got 2 roll top dry bags. Because this is made for bicyclers and motorcyclists and backpackers, you can put this on the outside of your bike, you know, the center pole or the handlebars or wherever. And on a motorcycle, the MOLLE options just are, you know, innumerable. They've got these straps around the sides that can facilitate you putting them on there if you didn't want to use just the MOLLE, but you've got these straps as well, and that's pretty cool. So let's go through a few of the technical details really quickly, and I have a cheat sheet, so here we go. Let's put this out here and go just read the instructions to you basically. It's a 2-person tent. It's 3.5-ish ounces. It has a 43-inch across foot to a 53-inch across head side. So it's kind of a tapered to the foot. A floor area of 2.6 square meters, a vestibule area of 1.8 square meters, a total area of 4.4. It's got the headroom is about 1,200 millimeters, and you know, we're gonna have to convert that to inches, but I'm not that good at math, so I'm gonna skip that part. You can do that on the calculator, ask Siri if you're an Apple fan. Now, because it's a bike pack, the big deal here is that it's packable into a very small package. And one of the reasons that that is easy to do with this is because it's 12-inch poles. If you have a tent that's normal size, you're going to be getting poles that are this long, which means it's not going to fit in most areas like a pannier easily. You would have to pack it separately, one in one side and one in the other. So those 12-inch poles are going to easily pack down into a pannier or on your bicycle or in your backpack. We'll get into some of the specs that happen inside the tent when we actually get it set up, and I'm going to let you watch me set this up in real time, and I'll make comments on that as well. But on this Telos TR2, it's a mesh exterior. It's a 3-season tent, and as you know, 3-season tent means 2.5-season tent because, you know, just like a 2-person tent is actually a 1-person tent plus gear. A 3-person tent is a 2-person tent. Packed weight plus the dry bags is 3 pounds 10 ounces. Not that that 5 ounces is going to make a hill of beans difference to just about anybody, especially if you're on a motorcycle like us. Standard is DAC poles, and if you know anything about the pole system, fiberglass is bad, DAC is good. Google it, you'll find out why. Fiberglass splinters and can break very easily. These DAC poles have been specifically designed as aluminum and have tensile strength that can bend a pretty good distance without breaking or cracking. Most tents have a center ridge pole with a crossbar. Most crossbars go across and they dip a little bit on each side. This has a very interesting design, and I'll show you that more specifically, but keep the word dihedral in your mind. That's going to come back, and we'll show you what that means in just a minute. But it allows for a number of positive characteristics to this tent. This 3-season tent is mesh. It has an ultralight 15 denier polyester mesh canopy, but it also has a 20 denier coated seam taped 2,500 millimeter waterhead floor. 6-inch tub so that the water, water resistant. If there's any groundwater that comes by, it's not going to get into the tent. We'll get into a number of those other characteristics later when we set up the tent. That's enough of the numbers and the specs. Let's actually get into the things that make a difference to you, and that is livability. So now we get to rip the tags off. That's always the fun part. Don't need that anymore. And we undo these straps, and again, we're going to do this in real time. I've not practiced this. You're seeing it for the first time just like I'm seeing it for the first time. Let's remove the straps that hold all of this together. We won't need any of this for the moment. So first of all, we need to find what is in what bag. There's an optional ground cover that you can get for these, but from what I understand, you don't need it. It's tough enough that it can lay straight down onto the ground. So that's pretty cool. Hold on to that bag for later. So here we have the tent poles. The bag for the poles is kind of cool too, because not only does it hold the 12-inch poles, it also serves another purpose, which we'll get into later when we get inside the tent. Put that down for a minute. This here is apparently the rainfly. So we're going to put that off to the side for a minute because I opened the wrong bag first. And that's how it works, isn't it? If you ever watch any of our videos, you know I do everything twice. Oh, steaks. And another bag. Awesome. All right, so I suppose it sets up just like any other tent where you lay everything out prior to taking the poles out. I will notice right off the top though, we've got color-coded corners. That's kind of neat. We got silver on one end and blue onto the other. So silver down here on each corner. And a light metallic blue on this side. So I'm supposing that's your cheat code for how to lay out the poles. So let's check out the poles. Ah, looky there. We've got silver and gray poles as well. These poles are aluminum and they are super thin, thinner than my current tent poles. They are a lot lighter than my current tent poles. Let's make sure yes, blue on that end. And silver on this end. And of course the trick to this is to make sure that everything is seated properly. As you lay it out, make sure the poles are inserted fully so that you don't mess anything up. So now, oh, and here's an extra piece just in case. It's a bigger diameter than the other poles so that it will slide over the top. And you can, if you do bend one, step on it in the dark or whatever, you can still sleep in the tent and it'll stay up. So let's start putting these in here. There, if you look down here, the hole here slides into the pole slides into the notch. This side, same, slides into the notch, just like you would think. So, very nice. Silver into silver. It's like paint by numbers, y'all. Even I can do this without ever seeing it before. There we go. So, with the corners done, then we just hook up the rest. These little clips are nice. Snappies, no fiddliness. That's one of my pet peeves, is fiddliness. If you've got to fight it, those little tiny things will just become irritants later on, and you'll just want to give up. I did that one on the wrong side, I think, or does it stay right there? Oh no, this one goes in the center. Probably like this. We shall see, we shall see. Like I said, I did not see a tutorial on how to set this up. We're going to see if it is easy to do without any kind of instructions whatsoever. And so far, I'm all right with it. Now this little gidget, aha, now, here comes that part I was talking about earlier. The ridge. You notice how it's sloping down? You can see it sloping down on each side. They've done something interesting here. And if I take this over and I spin it around like thus, I put it in backwards, and then we put it back together again, you'll notice that it is up on each end, sort of like an airplane wings. The wings are up on the corners and down in the middle. A couple of things this does is it gives you more headroom. It gives you more shoulder room inside, and it makes the walls straighter, which gives you more shoulder room inside. If you're actually using this for a two-person tent, those straight up walls and flared out top gives you shoulder room inside, so you can change clothes at the same time without elbowing each other in the nose. It also makes it easier to get out of, because this tall door, you're not crawling out like a bear. You can actually step out and then step up. We'll see if that's true, but it feels like that should be the case. There we go. Freestanding, of course. You can pick it up and walk away. You can pick it up and shake it off in the morning. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Let me make sure I get everything right here before we move on to the next step. I'm not sure if that goes on the end or on the ridge. Cool. Nice. So with this elevated ridge pole, I'm gonna put this last little clip right there, and then let's move on to the tent pegs and tack down each corner. All right, so inside we have these very lightweight Summit pegs. Holds the strings here, and inside the pocket of the bag on an external pocket, we have the guy lines. Not guide lines, guy lines. It's an old, from what I understand, Dutch or French word that just means support, and they would use them on the ships. Guy lines. I learned that too. So we're going to try to untie these and untangle these and use them in just a moment, but I'm going to first peg out the corners. Ooh, that's nice. The ground may be soft, but these pegs go in very nicely. That has to be something of a design consideration. How many of you have tried to push in pegs that just will not go in because they're too big, too thick? They argue with the ground a bit. There are 2 loops on each corner as well. I'm picking the one that is the furthest out. Let's make sure that's tight. There we go. That'll do for the moment. Good. And then these will be used for the rainfly, I'm suspecting. Very nice. All right, zippers. Let's talk about zippers. Here's the test. Again, those fiddly little bits, the things that cause you irritation. If you can get a tent that doesn't have the irritants or any piece of equipment that you're camping, and it makes life a little bit easier and not so fiddly, it's always a plus to me. So here's the big one. This is easy. This one should be working just fine, obviously. Here's the corner. How many times have you had to unzip your tent with 2 hands because it didn't make the corner? Let's find out. Heck yeah. One big swoop. And of course, just like most tents, you can roll this back take the boomerang looking clip and throw it through the loop like this. Now, I'm gonna pause right there for a second and let you know something. This is another one of those little fiddly things. In the dark, it's very difficult to find these loops and make them work because you have to spread them out to get the boomerang little hook through them in the dark. I don't like it. So I came up with an idea. I don't know if it's gonna work. We're gonna test it and experiment live right now to see if it does. I purchased some carabiners, some teeny tiny little 2-inch carabiners. And I also got them the right colors, blue on one end, silver on the other. But for now, I'm gonna do it as an experiment right here. I'm gonna hook the carabiner in this loop. I'm gonna roll this back. Now the carabiner stays open. You put the boomerang through it, and kaboom. Now you don't have to hunt for that loop. Bingo. To get it out, the carabiner's still open. Ka-chow. Hey, it works, I like it. I'm glad it did because I'd have been embarrassed if not on camera. All right, so I suppose we can get inside and show you while we just have the net up what the inside looks like and what kind of room it has before we put the fly up, because you ain't see me once I do that. Mama said take off your shoes before you come in. Nice. All right, now that we're in here, let's go ahead and hook this back up. Keep it open so you can see. Boom, there. Now this is nice. I can already tell you just from sitting here that it feels a whole lot more spacious than my current tent, or my previous tent that is, because of these straight walls here. I bet you too, and I've not tested this, it's occurring to me now, that it probably is going to help water to stay outside of your tent because this overhang, right? So the cross beam pole here comes out further than the tub portion. So I would suspect that, especially with the vestibule, that you will be able to keep the raindrops out as you're getting out of the tent. But I am very happy with the headroom. I'm a 6 foot tall guy when I'm on my toes. And I still have, what's that? 6 inches? That's about 3 or 4 inches of headroom before I hit my head on it. So that's good. If I lay down, yeah, I've got a good 8 inches to my head and 6 inches to my feet. So it's 84 inches long and 72 is 6 feet. So we are good for lengthwise. The foot tapers down to 43 inches. The head is 53 inches. So we've got 10 more inches up at the top, which gives us very good shoulder room. If you're a stomach sleeper and you sleep like this, it's going to give you elbow room. So that is a nice little perk. There are a lot of loops in here for hanging stuff. There's one here, one here, one here, one here. There's back here. There's also a couple of loops here. There's a pocket right here on this side, and there's a pocket on this side. There's also an extra storage mesh that can be attached to these interior loops, and I'll hook that up in just a second. And it can carry all of your cargo packing, your jacket, phone, water bottle, whatever it is in this area. And I'm supposing that would carry that weight pretty well. I'm pulling on this with a reasonable amount of vigor, and it seems like it would hold that weight, even though it does pull it down a bit, and that's cool too. All right, I think that's cool. Now, let me show you a couple of things on the interior before we put the fly up. This sheer piece of cloth here, they call it a light bar, and you put your camp light inside and you hang it from the ceiling here, which, as you know, if you've been camping and you have a camp light, they're pretty harsh little lights and they shine very brightly in the direction. But like at home, if you have a fluorescent light or a long LED light, it makes a softer light and a more dispersed light, which makes it generally easier to see inside your tent. So you would hang this up in the center right here and put your light in it. That's pretty cool. It also has Molly, so you can do that too. As an extra, an extra buy is that cargo pocket that hooks up at the top. Off with the shoes. So we take this, you see which way it's supposed to go. It's shaped like a home plate with a tapered end at one end and flat on the other. So I'm assuming, yes, that it would go this way. Put a loop in here. I'm calling these things boomerangs. I'm not exactly sure if that's the real word, but you get the idea, and they do look like boomerangs. So if you ever lose it, they'll come back. That one goes in there. These corner ones have to be secured, of course. And you see what I mean about these fiddly little loops? This is not a negative to Sea to Summit, because it is the generally accepted way, and generally the easiest way and the lightest way to make fix points. But God, it's fiddly. I'm gonna end up putting carabiners on all these things, I think. There we go. Of course, you know, take it into consideration, once you put this on, you're not gonna be taking it off, so maybe I'm complaining about nothing. We'll see. Cool. So, yeah, shoes. Boom, just like that. Nice, I like it. Light bar would go up here, but I'm not gonna put that up here right now. I don't need it at the moment. Cool. So let's put the rainfly on. We have 4 guy lines, 2 light silver and 2 dark silver. I put them on the color-coded ends. Pull it over, and it's obvious which way goes up because you'll be able to read the logo. There we go. Then down here, I call these the claw. I don't know if it's called the claw, but I like the way that they're designed, because down here at the feet, at the corners, you have these clips. They go in sideways and then rotate to the top, and it holds it tight. That's a neat little ingenious little trick there. I can dig it. They also have an extra little loop to tighten it down. I'll do that once we go all the way around. There's a guy line there. Put the claw over here on this corner. And it's very simple too. There are some tents that have the corners where when you put the rainfly on, you have to lift the foot of the pole up and then slide the rainfly grommet underneath the end of the pole. This is better. There's also the interlocking kind that, you know, slot in and you pinch to release it, and that's cool too, unless mud gets in there, and then you got to clean that out. You know, I suppose it won't happen often, but you know, it's a consideration. But this is easy. Silver to silver, goes in sideways, rotates up, and it's locked in, and then you can pull the tabs tight on each corner, which I will do now. Thusly, make sure the ridges are lined up with the seams. Very good. I probably tightened it a little too soon, but like I said, we're learning together, y'all, learning together. Loosen this one up just a touch. Seam that one out, and then tighten it down. Awesome. Rainfly on this side, and this is where we break out the other pegs. Tent peg here. Let's see, this is on top, so I'm going to peg this one. It's just preference. I'm not sure that there's a right or a wrong way here, but I'm going to peg that one so that when I unzip this one, it can be folded back. Go ahead and do the other side with this peg. Even though you can't see it from that angle, I can see it. And that's all that matters, isn't it? There we go. Awesome. Now, the guy lines. We'll do this side first. Now there are multiple loops on the tent. If you notice, there's one here, there's one here, it's the same. There's a loop, there's a loop, there's a loop. So there's loops everywhere, and according to the instructions, you can move these guy lines to other portions of the tent, depending on what the wind is doing that day, so that you can secure it even better. Now, one thing that I didn't do, and again, we're doing this for the very first time, is I forgot to put the rainfly hook into its little spot on the cross beam. So I can do that easy enough, apparently, by just unzipping the door and pulling it over. I could have done it before, but I will next time, for sure. And that's easy too. It's got a little blue pull loop that you can use to assist you. Awesome. And that zipper worked really well too. It's not getting stuck, which is awesome. Cool. And then just for purposes of visual, we'll put the guy lines down. In the guy line, there is this little rotating hook or rotating lock. So when you put the guy line down, wherever you decided it's going to live, you can tighten it. You loosen that, tighten it up. Oh, another stake. Depending on how far you want it to go. See how that tightens up there? Like that. Again, we have the nefarious loops and boomerangs that are not terrible. Move this out a little bit. And there we go. And I was right about the dihedral straight wall, because look how easy it is to get in, right? So when you're getting out, you don't have to crawl. You can simply stand straight up out of the tent like that. I dig that a lot. Being a tall fella, it's kind of hard to do. And being a gray-haired fella, that's also kind of hard to do. And that makes it easier. So I can dig it. One thing that is also quite unique about this tent that they thought through is the ventilation. Most tents that I've seen, the vents are on the ends where you can lift up the little triangle and put the stick underneath it, the occluded little hard stick that sticks out. But in this one, they've put it on the top. Heat rises. It's going to come out the top. Airflow, it doesn't matter which way the air is coming, we can get through it. But it's also, here's the little support stick. It sticks up so that it's keeping the rain off as well. The other interesting part about this is it's got a zipper on the interior in the ceiling so that you can zip it closed if the rain is coming sideways at you in a monsoon, or you can open it completely to let all of the ventilation be free flowing. That's cool, especially in hot and humid South Carolina where you get condensation on the inside. They also pull these things out of the way. That's a good trick for any tent. Keep your rainfly from touching the mesh. Always a good idea. It keeps the moisture from going inside. All right, so the last thing I think I want to mention here is a very unique characteristic to this tent. With the vestibules on both sides and the doors on both sides, you have storage areas for your gear if you don't want to bring it into the tent. However, the cool thing is you can set up the rainfly without the mesh underneath it, the mesh tent portion at all, and just use the rainfly. But what it does is it tilts up, and you can get two accessory tent poles that will stand it up, and it's called hangout mode. Essentially, it's just a rain shelter or a sun shelter that is tilted at a 45-degree angle so that you can put your chairs, maybe a stove, whatever you're going to do, and hang out. Good name for hangout mode, right? I'm not going to set it up right now, but here's a picture of it so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, what we're going to do is we don't need the accessory poles, the two poles that you would have to purchase to use the hangout mode. Because we travel with tripods for our cameras, we're going to end up using our tripods for those two poles if we ever want to use this in hangout mode. Last thing, the color. It's perfect. I love the neutral gray. It's not standing out in the middle of the woods. It's not orange. I mean, I get it. Some people want to be seen and not tripped over and be able to find their tent in the dark, but I'm more of a subdued kind of fellow. You see, I've got the gray shirt on. That's the color of choice. All in all, the Sea to Summit Telos TR2 two-person bike pack tent is a hit on first glance. From the tension rod across this way to give you more shoulder room, to the durability and the quality of the fabrics used, to even the packaging, where you can use these bags on the inside from temporary storage with the MOLLE on the outside so you can hook it to whatever you're backpacking, biking, or motorcycling. Thanks for watching Moto Photo Adventures and our setup at the tent. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you like this video, and even if you didn't, make a comment and tell me what I did wrong. Maybe we'll do better next time. Who knows? I'm about to check out the inside and take a nap.